Hello, this is Georgia. Can you unmute?
How's that?
Perfect. Thank you.
So the first order is going to be the approval of the minutes from May 31st, 2023.
I wanted to change, question the financial, balance and how much is left in regards to, Parks and Recs and, specifically the soccer complex. Why is there so much money left at the end of the year and we're not using it throughout the year to keep the, soccer field in a better standing? I would like corrected.
Anyone else have any corrections? Next order is like a financial report. May of 20.
Real quick, Georgia, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you talking, but does everybody have the buttons popped up on the mics?
Maybe just speak up a little bit, maybe
Yep.
direct the mic.
And make sure you're talking right into the mics.
We need a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
All right, so I move it.
I second the approval.
Make sure you're saying your names when you're doing that. It'll help with the record keeping.
Robert Vertrees move to approve the minutes.
Carl Ciparelli seconds.
Aye.
Agree.
All right. The next order is going to be the financial report from May 23 through 31st of 20.
You want to display them?
Oh, yep, sorry. Oh, there's people.
Okay.
Let me know when you want me to scroll down.
I'm ready. Cool.
Good? Okay. That's it.
Maria, seconds.
Susan Vale. Just- Motion to approve.
Maria Logos, seconds.
I guess you don't have to approve, you don't have to approve that. It's just a report.
Okay.
It's just a minute you're approving.
All right, so the first item up for discussion is going to be the sponsorship program.
Everybody have a chance to review these?
Yes.
Yes.
Any questions about them? I know we got Randy on the line, that's somewhat familiar, with the next discussion topics. What's that? Actually,
Yep.
yeah. So do you want me to do the same thing? You want me to scroll through it, or how do you want to go about this? Viewing it?
What's being proposed here?
Is there just discussion topics? So. this
Yeah.
part- Go ahead, Randy.
I was just gonna say, Randy, for the record, these kind of were suggestions that were given for the PrAC to review in order so we could come up with our own programming schedule for sponsorship. And this would be up for discussion for you all to come up with something to suggest to the board to implement, and then from there we would implement it. So does anyone have any concerns or any ideas that you would like to follow from these other municipalities that were attached to the agenda?
Ed Moore. I reviewed these, and one of the things that I would caution about when we do sponsorships is having like a 6-month time limit or a 3-month time limit, something like that, because from past experience, somebody has to follow that up, and somebody has to take it off the website once it reaches, the timeline. So it's just a cautionary thing, to watch out for. Otherwise, you're going to find that sponsor stays there the entire year, and other sponsors are going to say, well, I paid a lot more money. Why did they get to stay on, the entire year, and they weren't supposed to? So it's just something to look out for.
In this example, this is Andrew, there's different levels of opportunity. It's really, you can build it however you see fit, Really, I think this was just put forward as an example of one way others are doing it, to give you some ideas and kind of open it up for discussion.
Robert Vertrees, yeah, I mean, the idea of getting sponsorships is fantastic. You just have to have somebody that's a salesperson that can go out to for years, I've tried to get sponsorships for various soccer teams, football teams, and things, and I'm not a salesperson. It's hard. It's not as easy as sending a letter to Publix saying, hey, why don't you give us $10,000 of your grant money that you give out to whatever. You've got to go meet in person with the people. You almost need someone either volunteer or, with an agreement that, okay, if you get us X amount of sponsorship dollars, we'll pay you 10% commission or something like that to go out and approach the businesses. I mean, there are plenty of decent sized businesses around, Publix, Gardner, that you can approach, but you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And it's not just a matter of, printing this up and sending it to them, because it'll get filed in the circular file by their marketing manager or by their receptionist. So I love the idea. If there's somebody, if we have somebody or if we know someone that does this kind of stuff, works in sales someplace, used to work in sales someplace, and now would like to do something, and by do something, it's like, put together the brochure, the levels, get it approved by the board, and then start going out to making the appointments and going out to companies. Great, but this is something that will, require a time commitment.
I agree. It's got to be somebody that's dedicated to do it. Right. Because there's a lot of follow-up.
Yeah, Robert Lewis here. Wouldn't this fall under the title of the PIO, Randy? Wouldn't that fall under, his department of responsibility?
It's a good question. I think it would depend on how it's set up.
I think ultimately that's something that the PrAC could come up with a feasible plan that we could work collaboratively, whether it's like, coming up with a plan of execution and then coming up with the steps on how that would be executed, whether it's me or, setting up meetings with the PrAC and these organizations and me facilitating them or whatever. That would just be, I guess, the discussion that we're here for today.
I think the other piece of it too would be the leagues, right, Randy?
Mm-hmm.
People that are already using the facility, you maybe utilize them as a resource, or maybe even have a share, or different ways to do it.
Yeah, Robert Lewis again. Well, I mean, I think this group, committee here, can come up with ideas of specific sponsorships that would probably augment some of our projects that we could feed to Randy or a designee. I don't think it's up to us to actually go out and solicit, although if we want to volunteer, we can. So for example, to get funding for things with the dog park, we could head up the local pet shops, Purina, all those types of vendors. For our music programs, we could hit up, various music organizations in the area for funding. But it just takes somebody centrally to be able to manage that, because there's going to be money coming in. Now, one thing I would want to make sure is that in the budget, whatever money is raised from sponsorships for something specific to the park does not get diverted to things like, well, we need to have maintenance, we need, trees on Gateway or cut, something totally not related to the parks, but CDD might look at that and say, oh, we have all these dollars, let's use them for something else. So I think any money for specific sponsorship needs to go back to Parks and Recreation, and that a separate accounting is maintained for that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Mariela Gutierrez, I have previous experience with sponsorships like that. I was the treasurer of a rather large church for a few years, and I think that it would fall, I think, on the responsibility of you or someone to solicit that. I don't think it would be appropriate for any one of us to try and solicit. It has to come with the title. Like, for example, the priest would go and solicit sponsorships to the festivals, and whether it was for banners or whatever be. I think they're all great ideas. It just needs to be handled properly, and I don't think it needs to be handled by any of us. I don't think this is our job, but I think every opportunity, like Ed said, needs to come with a term, whether we're going to go with a school year for the soccer fields, or we're going to go with 6 months or a yearly term for the dog park. It needs to have a specific start and end date, and so everybody, all the businesses can get an opportunity to do that. And I think, of course, I would expect that everything that we all the proceeds would definitely have to be in a separate register for Parks and Recs, whether that be any of the things that need to be fixed or created through Parks and Recs. There needs to be a separate account held with no question. That's my comment, but I think they are all great ideas. I don't see any problem with any of them. I have seen similar for years up north.
This is Andrew. The other thing that I've have some experience with in this same, like you're talking about, where does the money go, right? A lot of times when you establish these programs, you fund specific projects, and that's a way to, you understand where you're at. Like, hey, we want to do X item, and we're gonna start the sponsorship program to fund that project. And then maybe you change your funding mechanism, or you change your, yeah, after that project's funded, maybe you can start another one, or you have maybe an ongoing program that you do with kids or something where you're giving sports equipment, or whatever the case may be. But you always have something allocated for the dollars. I think it'd be a good way to do it.
Yes, that is very true. For example, we had used it to pave an entire parking lot, and there were specific sponsors for that. I think that it doesn't have to all be geared towards businesses. It can be geared towards private citizens as well. I think that you will find, for example, for the dog park, we're going to find a lot of support within the community of people that use it. And we just need to find a very clever way to put the word out there, and also someone to head this and keep at it.
This is Ed. That's where I think that last month, I believe it was you that asked about having brainstorming meetings. And I think this would be, heck, each project would almost require a brainstorm meeting.
Yes,
Because everything's going to be different at the dog park than it is going to be at the pool.
exactly.
And
And there's different marketing
Yeah, exactly,
strategy.
exactly. And then when it comes to the website and the traffic to the website, as a sponsor, I would want to know how many visitors the website gets on a regular basis. I would want to know how many views my ads got, how many click-throughs to my website that it received, that type of tracking. So I don't know how, if the website is capable of doing that at this point. I have no idea what's on the back end. But it is going to be necessary because sponsors are going to ask for that information, especially when it comes time to renew. And it becomes a good selling point to say, well, Mr. Advertiser, you received X amount of click-throughs to your website. So that's foot traffic directly to your business, from here.
This Maria, I just, I almost want to say that this is coming at a tricky time because we voted last meeting to have a pause for the months of July and August. And so we're going to essentially lose 2 months. So I would like, maybe we can discuss today how we can come up with the ideas so we can take advantage of those 2 months. That's sort of a hiatus here, but also hit the ground running come September with these sponsorships, especially if we're going to go forward with moving the dog park and all that. I mean, I don't think we should waste any time on those things, provided that they're approved.
Any other comments?
Yeah, this is Ed. I agree with you. I think that we could probably do that through email or some sort of, online thing as a group, or let's say that the three of us have an affinity for the dog park and we want to, champion that.
This is Carl. I don't think you could do that with the sunshine laws, though. Outside of this.
A committee can't?
No, not us collaboratively, no.
Okay.
If you want to have an idea and then you want to submit it to Georgia,
Okay.
and then she submits it to everybody, that's a different story, but.
I
Like if
see.
everybody wants to brainstorm on their own and then jot down like, all right, this will be package A and this is package B, something like that, and then everybody
Okay.
submits something, and then we could all discuss it at the next meeting and see, all right, I liked his idea, I liked her idea.
Okay.
But as far as getting together, we can't do it.
Okay.
Any other points? Anybody want? No? So the next item of discussion is the pickleball recreation grant opportunity.
Okay, so just let me interject for a little bit. So in terms of direction that you want us as a district to go and move forward by, the only feedback that we got was, or that I heard, was a time limit. And being beware of like exchanging the ads each season, calendar year, fiscal year. Is there any other input, like the amount thresholds that are within each category? Anything else?
Maybe a
I know
separate-
that someone sent an email saying that there could be generalized ads per season, and then there could also be like a sponsorship per field. So I'm not sure if those are the ideas that you guys are leaning into. Any input on that?
This is Ed, and I've always had the attitude that if you don't ask for the big money, you're never going to get it. So there needs to be a big package of like $25,000. And I have no idea at this point what it should include, but it should include a lot for 25 grand. And then smaller packages, you know, it would scale down from there. But coming from the Chamber of Commerce, if we don't ask big, we don't get, period. So that's my recommendation.
Okay.
On the order of asking money, I actually did some fundraising for the Montage Women's Club, the annual fundraising. We raised $9,000 by selling little bundt cakes and things like that. Although I agree going for the big hit is good, little by little, it's the fees that make it work. So you've got to have a scale because mom and pop are contribute, and I think that would maybe even be more powerful because you get more people participating, asking for the big hit.
This is Ed. I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with you that you absolutely need to have those smaller packages. That's why I said to scale down from there, because it does require all of it. Absolutely.
So, Randy, are you do you want to put together a scale? Like, you gave all these examples, there's like 1,000 examples, and they're all real pretty and nice, but do you have a vision of what you think this should look like?
I do, but I was kind of just waiting for the advisory committee to have some input on that, and just so they could give me clear direction on how to move forward. So that's kind of why I'm asking these follow-up questions, so I can have more insight into what you guys are leaning into.
This is Maria. I used a lot of those examples, but I mean, I personally like all of them. We just need to come up with, I would think that each of our targets needs to have a separate package, like one for the dog park, one for the linear park, one for everything. And then how much do we want to include the community in this? For example, the soccer fields. I would think that parents of children that are going to be using the fields for the probably how many years they are using it through activities here, we would like to contribute. And yes, the small dollars add up. Do we want to include them in fundraising amongst them by cake bakes or T-shirts with specific saying or something? I mean, there's a lot of different things. So I think really need to come up with a separate packet for every item on our list. And that certainly is not going to be done in one meeting today.
Okay, so this is Andrew. So if I'm hearing you right, you want to put a sponsorship opportunity together for each facility, each park separately?
I think so,
Okay.
because you're not going to target Purina so much for the soccer complex, as much as you're going to target them for the dog park.
So are you talking about a specific program, like a banner program for the sports
Banner
field?
program, yeah. Mhm.
There was a lot of different examples, and we can go back to them too if you want to see.
This
Trying to get an
from-
idea of what we're putting together. You know what I mean?
I think you could put together one package, but you say, do you want your advertisement at the dog park? Do you want your advertisement at the soccer field? Do you want your advertisement at the pool? And that's it. You don't have to have 25 different packets together. You just set one price range, 6 months is whatever it is. And then with that, you get a banner, you get a little thing on the website, and you put your banner wherever you want to put it. That's what I would think, instead of having all these different packets out.
And you definitely have to, this is Maria again, you definitely have to, whoever is going to sell this, provide information to the donors of how many people is it going to be exposed to at each place.
Yeah. So this is Andrew. Another, we talk about like the linear park or even the playground or the bocce courts or something like that. There's opportunities to put benches. We went through some examples that have benches where maybe you have a memorial bench opportunity. So maybe it's not all banners, but Randy, maybe we can put together kind of a list of things that fit into our improvement plan that would make sense, as well as like banners.
Okay. Perfect.
I agree with that. This is Maria, and it sounds great, and it comes back to what even the people that are using the dog park suggested, that 2 people can go in together or 1 person and donate a bench or donate a play station for the pets or whatever it be. I think that's great. We cannot underestimate the private citizens in this. I think most of our sponsorships are going to come from that.
Yeah, Robert Lewis here. One of the things with the music program for Gateway that we were thinking about doing, the entertainers are not free. Some are, but like the one we're getting in November is not free. There is an expense to pay them. Tim said it's okay to go ahead and book them. I don't know how they're going to get paid, but one of the things we were thinking about doing was to go ahead and pass the hat and get donations and pay them out of that. And I think we should be able to do that easily. And then whatever is in excess would need to go to some sort of account to grow so that we can get entertainers coming in. Now, I was kind of surprised with the July 4th or the July 1st event. I don't know how that's getting funded, but not all of that is for free. And so I was just curious. I would assume that Gateway is paying for it. But if we were to put out some buckets asking people to make a contribution and we collected money on Saturday, where would that go?
Yeah, I don't know
If
that
it's going to be done.
This is Andrew. I don't know that we're set up for that yet, and that's part of this discussion is we got to set up all of that. We can't just have money sitting there that's not allocated for anything.
Right.
So, and in terms, your question regarding the July 1st event or the July 4th event that's being held on July 1st, that event is paid for out of our events budget. It's in the, it's earmarked in that financial report. We have dollars there for special events.
Mhm. Okay. Well, but for our music things, we're hoping to get it to be somewhat self-sustaining. And we just have to have a place where those funds are going to go.
One thing that I will say is that the district doesn't accept cash. So maybe for this one, we could say something like, make a banner saying that if companies or citizens are interested in sponsoring an event or facility, then they can contact us through customer care, and then we'll go from there. That way, it's they have a point of contact, and then while we develop this sponsorship program, it continues to grow.
This is Ed. So I'm thinking if I were to sell this, I mean, if I were to take this on the streets, what would I want to see? And if I would want to see 3 large packages like a gold, silver, and, bronze to cover all of the parks. And then I would, because that's your big money, right? And then I would want to have the individual packages for the parks themselves. And would there be a gold, silver, and bronze? Yeah, but it'd be a different name. It'd be, Big Daddy Dog or, whatever it is, to have those smaller packages because if we just list it as, all in one thing and if we don't create the flyers for the desire for those people, I mean, if you show the dogs and tap into the emotions of people on like music, right? I mean, I know we can get some big sponsors, not as big as the corporate, but if we're talking about music and the bandstand and, that sort of thing, if we have that flyer or that presentation package specifically for that, you're drilling in onto the passions of the people. And that's what I would want to see if I were going to sell this. So I would assume that any other salesperson out there would want to have something similar as well. But I could be wrong.
Robert Lewis here again. I know that in Gateway, there's going to be a lot of construction going on as far as in the parks. And part of the construction is going to be putting down either concrete or pavers. And there might be people that would be willing to have a paver engraved with their name or whoever, and, sell those off as well. So that, I know we would do that. So that, that's something to consider as well.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to put a paver down anyway.
Right.
It's not that much more to engrave it with someone's name.
I like that.
This is Andrew. I just went back up, to the beginning of this item, just so you can see kind of our, the intention and what we were trying to accomplish with this. And we can do that, on the next item, just so you're aware what we were trying to achieve.
Well, this is Maria. The reason I said that we need to target each specific park or activity individually is because if you're going to present all of it, let's say you're the salesman, if I were to go sell this to companies, and I present them with all these ideas, it's just too much to digest, I think. And I think companies would have a better response if they are associated with something specific. If I was a big donor, donating 25,000 or sponsoring whatever, I would like to see my name associated with something to see, something that happened, something that could be engraved somewhere and to stay there. If I was a company, something more specific. I think we can't sell it as an all-together package. It's going to be too hard and kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? I don't know if everybody understands where I'm coming from.
So you're saying like specifically curate every pitch to a vendor, a citizen, just so they can visualize themselves, I guess, in that?
I think so, because if you're going to approach Adidas, for example, why would they sponsor something at the dog park? That's not where their business is and their heart is, so naturally they're going to gravitate towards something athletic.
This is Ed, and I agree with you. when you're targeting those types of businesses, you do want to be specific. But if you're targeting somebody like a Gartner, you want to give
Yes.
them the big enchilada because they can afford the big enchilada. And you can separate the Adidas, take it off, see which ones they, hit their hot button, like the trail. I mean, obviously that would be one for them. So I am in agreement with you, but I think the overall package for the big money needs to be all inclusive somehow.
Yeah, Robert Lewis again. By the way, at the last meeting that we had, the question came up about how did Sherman Soccer Complex get its name? And it was researched out, and we all should have gotten a copy of the article that was in the newspaper that went back to the history. So we could never change the name of the soccer complex to whatever else. It has to remain Sherman Soccer Complex. However, there are, how many fields there? 10 fields? 5 fields. So you could sell off naming rights for each one of the 5 fields. So you could have an Adidas field, you can have a Nike field, you can have whatever field. So for the big ticket item, you have 5 fields. And it might be something nice because when you tell people what field they're going to be playing on, you could say, well, you're going to play on the Nike field today, or you're going to play on the Adidas field or whatever. So you can't change the overall umbrella name, but you can sell off individual fields and give naming rights for, some finite period of time, like maybe 5 years or whatever.
Like that.
I like that idea too.
Yeah, that's a good
Sounds
idea.
great.
Okay.
So I guess this is Maria. I would like to see maybe Randy, you can put like a more comprehensive packet together for us, and maybe we can work this to, via email together as a group and give some feedback and start from there, so we're not completely idle those 2 months that we're not going to be meeting, if that's possible.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Anybody else have anything to add to this? So the next item for discussion is the pickleball recreation grant opportunity.
And applying for a grant, if I'm reading this
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah, Randy, do you want to talk about this one a little bit?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up on my screen. Yeah, so one of the things that was happening during the budgetary process or the initial process of it was that we wanted the community input on the different initiatives that the advisory committees and the board were doing. So as part of that, we received emails from community members saying that they'd want pickleball, more pickleball opportunities to be within the district. I think they mentioned like some that were outside of the Gateway area and how they had to travel and it was an inconvenience. So they were requesting if we could look at any means of providing that within the district. So then I looked up some grants and I found this opportunity. It isn't exclusive to pickleball, but because that was something that was voiced by community members, I figured it would be a good start. I mean, if someone's reaching out that they want this, it'd be great to garner community support from that, and then it would be more viable for actually happening. So there you have like a brief background of the grant, and this is a T-Mobile grant that is up to $50,000 each quarter. So we kind of can brainstorm what we want to pitch to them in that grant application, and then submit it the next quarter. But as part of that, they do require shovel-ready plans. And then this would be something that we'd have to work collaboratively with the advisory committee and then the district staff on getting, I guess that would be Tim, community organizations to support This application, so it's just, I guess those emails that we got would be good. But a letter from the PrAC also saying like, hey, this is something that our community wants. We support this, stuff along those lines. And as you can see there, the next application cycle is in the fall and it starts in July.
This is Maria. I think that's great. I don't see any problem with going forward with it.
This is Robert Bertries. I mean, I agree. Sure, let's go forward with it. With the proviso, it's really up to the board to say, yeah, we're going to build pickleball courts. And here's our plan to do it. And then we apply for the grant. If we get it, fantastic. If we don't.
Well, is this for building a new one or improving the one we have?
We don't have one.
We don't have-
I'm sorry. I was thinking
No, this is the
the,
building one.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, the board would have to the board's got to come up with the shovel-ready plan and say, hey, we're going to build pickleball courts at wherever we're going to build them, and say, have that approved if I'm reading this correct. And then we go to T-Mobile and say, hey, here's our plan. Our district is going to be building these courts. You want to pitch in your $50,000? We'd say thank you.
Exactly. We basically have to have a shovel-ready plan and then have support from the committee, present it to the board, have their support in order for us to move forward with getting those designs, and then ultimately applying for the grant with your blessing and the board of supervisors' blessing.
Well, this is Maria. So so you mentioned that we have to have shovel-ready plans. So are we looking to put that in that new area next to the new building that we are proposing?
This is Susan. It's in your master plan. It's on the plans. So you have a location. It's already part. So it's a no-brainer to approve getting, asking for the grant and getting the drawings. If we need to get a price from a subcontractor to give us a price, that shouldn't be hard either. So.
This is, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
this is Dave Ruth. We don't have a master plan. There was a master plan done a long time ago. And there's a building being put in the way of some of the things there now. And I've been proposing that somebody needs to do a new master plan so we aren't just putting objects over in that field. And the other thing is that the community did not support 2 years ago anything being built in that field. And I don't want to be the messenger of doom, but there still needs to be things worked out with, if we're going to do pickleball courts and they're going to be done for free with proposals or other things, then I can see that being people agreeing to that. But they're still people are not wanting it to come out of their own pockets for anything to be done in that area. So, I'm not convinced there is a master plan, but there needs to be one.
Well, this is Maria, and I think we've talked about it extensively. I mentioned in the previous meetings and our discussions that we need to have a plan in that large area of how to develop it. And maybe, and I understand people have a lot of negative ideas based on what was presented. And I wasn't here for that. I'm not sure of how it was presented and why there was so negative response. But I think there needs to be a plan presented by the city, and we need to incorporate all those ideas that we are here talking about, because if we don't, otherwise, what are we doing here? I mean, we're going to do small things, and yes, okay, we agreed on relocating the dog park and sort of creating a small solution for the parking for the soccer complex and all that kind of stuff is great. But long term, if we don't have, and I'm pretty sure I said that last time we were here and Tim was here, if we don't have a plan of where everything is going to go in that in that large location and expanding the pool and this and that and fitting small play stations and areas around that area, how are we going? You can't start with something and then discover that it's in the wrong position or it doesn't serve you as well. And probably Mr. Ruth can
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
This-
Maria.
This is Dave Ruth again. Thank you, Maria. That's all I'm saying. I'm not against anything being built in
No,
that
no,
field.
I'm saying.
And I'm
You can attest to
not
that.
trying to bring up the community that wasn't in agreement with it. I think that things have changed, times will change, and there's ample room there to do a lot of nice things for our community. So I think just getting a master plan put into place, then it will prevent us from just kind of putting things wherever and then finding out that we did it in the wrong way.
No, this is Maria again, and that's exactly what I was trying to say too. I'm totally in agreement with you, and I think based on your profession, you can probably attest to the fact that it has to be a plan. It has to be a plan. There has to be a plan.
Hey, this is Andrew, Randy. So in order to apply for the grant funding, there has to be an actual plan drawn before you can even get to the application?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Susan. Based on what everybody said, then you can't do it. You could table this. Maybe our priority needs to be, what's the status of the master plan? Has the board approved any of the funding that we've recommended? Where are we with all of that? Because otherwise we're nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
If I do remember correctly, I think the PrAC was given an overlay of the, I think you guys mentioned the master plan of the master plan that was previously made by Holmontes with the overlay of the administrative building. So you could kind of conceptualize how much space probably wouldn't be available with the new building. But if I remember correctly, I don't think the pickleball courts or that specific area would be impacted. So I would think that's where we would want to put that, at, or put these at. And I think when they refer to plans, they refer to like the tech specs, just, what type of material is going to be used, planes and all that stuff.
This is Ed, and you're right, Randy, as far as this goes. But I'm in agreement with everybody else that has said that we need to have a master plan that is approved, period, because we're just spinning our wheels if we don't.
Yeah, Robert Lewis here. Just as a point of information, they only get $50,000. So in order to have pickleball courts, you have to have parking. Parking to support it alone will be more than $50,000.
Right.
So
I think the thinking is that the idea with the new administrative building, there's going to be sufficient parking for the administrative tasks or responsibilities that the district has for people coming in, paying their bills, meetings, stuff like that, and also space for this.
This is
And
Carl.
that's something that I can confirm with Chelsea, just to see what the viability of that is. But yeah, like you see the financial impact there is estimated $100,000. And those are turnkey estimates that we just kind of did like some quick quotes from pickleball installers.
This is Maria. I guess I understand that there was a lot of negativity with the original master plan, and again, I'm not sure why and how it was presented to the community, but if we want to proceed with anything worthwhile to improve the community and the activities within our gateway, there absolutely has to be a master plan. Again, and Ed said we're spinning our wheels. I don't want to say a complete waste of time, but if we're going to have 20, 30, 40 meetings to just fix the dog park and put some benches, I don't think that's a good usage of everybody's time. And I think CDD has to go forward with a master plan. We provided the ideas. I don't see why not. There's a master plan created or being worked.
Can I chime in?
Yes.
Hey, guys, sorry, Chelsea, I've been in other meetings. So the board of supervisors at their last meeting gave district staff to go ahead to apply for grants. Because anytime we can subsidize any improvements that we want to do, albeit through the utilities or public works or parks and rec or whatever that may be, we should apply for these grants. And so what we've done, and even what we did with the admin building, was we looked at that older Whole Montez plan that was done a couple of years ago, and we tried to look at that plan and say, okay, where can we put this admin building that wouldn't necessarily throw this plan out the window? Because, you know, the district spent good money on that plan. So looking at that and looking at different components that we can either tweak or add or mend to use portions of that plan. I'm not saying we need to stick to it to a T. Maybe the amphitheater is not something we want right now. Maybe that's something we want in 10 years. I don't know. But how can we, with time, with alternative funding opportunities, build out that park complex that doesn't break the bank? And so that's why Randy, more so than myself, has identified these grant opportunities that shoot for the stars. Let's apply for it. And if we get it, great. You know, we have this idea of where it would land at on that Whole Montez plan. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We don't accept the grant monies. So I don't want to kill this park area, the commons. I don't want it to die of 10,000 cuts because we can't make a decision. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. Let's run with it. Let's find the funding sources. Let's make it happen. But I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot and not apply for these grant opportunities if we have the chance of getting it. And if you guys don't like the pickleball concept, let's look at that Whole Montez plan. What else can we pull from that? I know you've had some really good ideas we've mentioned in our priority list. You know, we want to move some of the fun park amenities to up there. Maybe it's a playground, maybe it's the basketball court, maybe it's a volleyball court. I know we've had pickleball for mentioned in meetings from some of the residents in Hampton Park that, you know, they want some pickleball courts. I would hate to waste money on a new plan when we have one that we've already spent, I think, over $20,000 on. That it's not horrible. Let's pick pieces.
Chelsea, this is Maria. So look, we have talked about this previous plan again and again, and every time we talk about it, people mention how the community had a negative response and it's not going to be supported and this, that, and the other. And again, I wasn't here for that. If that was me, I would have taken that plan, tweak it a little bit and run with it and just go forward in creating something. If you have grants such as this one that require shovel-ready plans, obviously we're not shovel-ready because we don't even have a location pinned in that plan for the pickleball. So someone needs to, based on the suggestions we gave maybe through our previous meetings in what we think is needed in the community, maybe we, and I think that those suggestions were sort of dampered down because there is a lot of fear within members here that the bigger plan will not be received well by the community and will fall flat to our face. If we want to reach for the stars, then we have to be allowed to reach for the stars. So where are we here? I would like to see a plan, a proposal, a location for this pickleboard or whatever it is, volleyball, basketball, whatever we think is needed. And we said a few things that are needed already, and then proceed. I feel like we are spinning our wheels here. There is a plan. It looked great to me. We can tweak it a little bit and go with that, but there needs to be a location pick for all those facilities.
Well, but to be clear, there is. If in the Whole Montez plan, pickleball courts are up in the basically the north part of the parcel. So it's a matter of, okay, what amenities do we want to do next? Do we want it to be, like, for instance, right next to the pool, it's called play. Play means playground. So that's the area that there should be a playground. The parking, again, looking at the whole Montez plan, there was a gray area that essentially is running in tandem of where our parking lot is proposed. And we have, as it sits right now, exceeded the minimum requirements for parking for the admin building. So there would be opportunity for additional parking spots for some of these amenities as we build out. There's the opportunity to expand the parking lot if need be. So if you don't like the plan, specifically, what don't you like about the plan? Because we can look, and on here, there's the volleyball court in the back center. Okay, if we want to pull that out, what do we want to put in its place? I don't want to do a whole new plan and start from scratch when we've spent money and have ideas that, okay, it's kind of like a puzzle. Let's jigsaw it. And if we don't like this here, let's move it over here.
Robert Lewis here. I was here when the plan was presented. We were living here in the community, and the vast majority, probably well over 90% of the people, thought the plan was a great plan. It would be nice, but 90% plus did not want to spend. I think the proposal was $2.5 million cost in order to do the plan, and it was all about dollars and cents that the community was mostly upset about, and not the plan per se.
Well, and is it worth taking smaller bites?
It's all about money.
Yeah.
Is it worth taking smaller bites and prioritizing the amenities when we find these grants, or just make your priority list based on the whole Montez plan? Here's how we want to build it out.
Robert Verker is here. I guess the question I have, and I'm not sure if you can answer it, Chelsea, or if somebody else can. If we applied for this and T-Mobile said, great, here's your $50,000 check. Do we have money in the budget somewhere where then the board could say, yay, go ahead, here's the other 50,000 or 100,000 that you need to build this?
So my answer to that is no. We have some money in the bond, number one. We have park impact fees that the county has. So honestly, the funding portion of it is that's the board's responsibility. I think, pardon?
I was gonna say, I mean, if again, Rob Vercher is here, that kind of comes back to my point. We can sit here and say, yeah, sure, go ahead and apply for this. And I don't think there's anybody here that would say, if, not apply for it. Why not take their money if they're willing to give it to us? But, I don't want to waste time and apply for a $50,000 grant that we get, and then we have to turn around 6, 8, 9 months later and say, oh, we can't build the pickleball courts because there's not money, or the board hasn't approved it, or whatever.
Well, so to help with that, Robert, I think so. If we were successful in this grant and we knew that we needed to fill in the other, let's just say 100,000, 50,000, whatever the dollar amount may be, before this grant got executed, it would go to the board for their review and approval and allocate the funding source for the match. Now, that could be through the bond, it could be through the park impact fees, it could be through a short-term bank loan, it could be for pulling from reserves, it could be reallocating existing resources and funding within the capital improvement plan, which they're, as of right now, it's funded at 100%. What they do in August, we will see.
Are we in a chicken and egg situation here where the board needs to approve this, but we need to have it approved before we can apply for it?
No, the board gave approval at the last meeting to apply for any and every grant that we could ever possibly apply for.
I think then our committee here, I don't think there's anybody to say don't apply for it. I think everybody would agree. Go ahead and apply for it.
Yeah, of course.
I would agree.
Well,
Yeah, so
Apply for it.
there's this item. We recommend that you apply for it.
This is Carl. I just have a quick question. If you get approval for it, does it have to be built in a certain time frame? Because now you're building a building over there. You can be able to build a building at the same time as pickleball courts, or is that not?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't know if Carol's there. She actually asked the same question this morning. It's gonna take time. Everything takes time. I did reach out to a local vendor that does, turnkey courts. And he told me, where's my notes here? About 6 months, I believe. It would take from start to finish. And that depends on, do you want lighting, or not? Construction would happen at the same time, but I think it's possible we could do both at the same time. I mean, the admin building, it's gonna take over a year, but I don't wanna stop forward momentum of our parks amenities just because we have construction going on in one corner of a 15-acre site.
Right, I was just asking the question if it could be done, that's all. Right, okay, so that's good.
Chelsea, this is Maria. I guess I have a question. If we don't want to let that master plan die, and we want to somehow start incorporating certain activities or whatever parks there, why we were not given that direction from the beginning? I think we've been spinning our wheels now for a few meetings, and yes, we took some decisions to relocate things and all that, but why aren't we studying that plan then throughout our meetings and talking about what needs to be where? Because we clearly made a priority list about what needs to happen. But again, I feel that was very much dampered down by the fact that there's a fear that this is not going to be well received by the community. So if there are a lot of grants out there, what other grants are they? And why isn't somewhere working in fitting in the activities that we would love, the improvements we would love within that plan? So it's a more cohesive area that can be developed. We all talked about, for example, how the pool doesn't have anything fun for children. Why isn't there a plan that right next to that pool we can put a kiddie pool, a playground, this and that? Why aren't we working on that more cohesively instead of?
Hold on, let me answer your first question. So when this committee was originally formed, you had a very narrow scope, and I believe it originally started with, I think, just the fun park. And the board decided that they wanted to expand your scope. And so they said, we want you to look at the bigger picture. Now, I can't speak on behalf of the board, but that didn't necessarily exclude the whole Montez plan. I think bits and pieces of that whole Montez plan is worth its value. But that's for you all to decide and to weigh in and to get the public input, because I wasn't here, but from what I have seen and heard, it seemed like that plan was originally pushed down the public's throat. And these amenities are for the residents, are for the community. And so like we've said in the past, I personally don't want to compete with what Magnolia has or what Gateway Greens has. So what can we starting point? And you all have been provided the whole Montez plan. We even had Tetra Tech do an overlay of the admin building and how that would look on that plan. We've given that to you all. Now, the next steps, I mean, do you want to take bite-sized pieces? I think that's probably the wisest decision. But what pieces do you want to bite first? Do you want to go for the crust? Do you want to go for the middle of the pie?
I guess my point is, if there isn't a master plan, yes, of course, we're going to take bite-sized pieces, but everything needs to be incorporated in a plan that we all agree on. So that master plan, we need to study it more. Like, it's been like 2-3 months since I've looked at it. I can't remember where everything is on the plan. So why aren't we studying it more? I don't think anybody remembers where everything is on the plan here either. So
Listen, you guys make your agendas And I mean, we can help guide, but this is the board has directed this committee and has brought on this committee to help vet this and come up with the ideas and what you all feel is best for the community. I think Andrew, you pulled out, or I don't know if Randy did.
And I also wanted to add a comment, Chelsea. I understand what you said. People feel that other communities that have a lot of activities, things would compete with them. I don't think it's so much about competition as much as providing activities and recreational areas for all the communities that do not have all that. So I'm not going to other communities to use their facilities. I'm just not. And there's a lot of people in smaller communities that don't offer those, that do not. And we need to look at the bigger picture for those communities that don't have and do not generate money from usage of their pools and this, that, and the other.
Well, so then maybe
I think that this board serves everybody and predominantly is trying to develop something for the communities that do not have amenities. The communities that have amenities that generate income, and I'm not sure how many and who they are they're sitting pretty. How about the rest of us?
So,
I think the item at hand is the grant opportunity that staff has identified. The point of bringing it in front of you was, are you guys good with us applying for it as pickleball courts, or did you want it as something else? We've heard from the public, I know of at least 2 different individuals that they said that they wanted pickleball courts. I haven't heard much feedback otherwise, but getting that input and buy-in from you all, if that's, if you guys say, apply for it for pickleball or apply for it for the splash pad at the pool, we'll move forward with whatever you guys decide.
But, Chelsea, this is Maria again. The discussion started because Randy mentioned we have to be shovel ready, and we asked, are we shovel ready? No. So that's how we started and veered off to this discussion, because we are not shovel ready. So if we're going to place the pickables to that location,
I mean, that's for them to decide.
Right.
Robert,
Exactly.
But if they want to apply for it, go ahead. And if they have to fudge something that says that we're shovel ready just to get the application in,
Yeah.
fudge something that says we're shovel ready.
Well, let me be
I'm
clear.
fine with it being pickleball courts. I'm fine with it saying general purpose, some type of athletic court that will go in this area. Don't care.
this
If
is
we can
it.
get 50,000, get the 50,000.
Shovel ready can mean many things.
Yep.
Now, a lot of these amenities, like say, let's take pickleball courts or a playground. There are companies that have literally a book on their shelf they pull out and they have it from start to finish of what that plan is and how they put it in. So if you say pickleball, then I'm gonna call, X Joe Schmo company and say, I need a turnkey proposal. Here's my shovel ready plan. We've
Yep.
identified the area, we've identified the location. All we gotta do is once approved, apply for permits and construct it.
This is Ed. We've all agreed that pickleball, you should move forward on the grant. And it's my understanding that this master plan, we can use it if we want to change stuff around. We just need to tell you. That's all.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Ed.
so this is Maria, do we need a motion for this to?
I think it would be good for record keeping.
Okay, I motion to go forward with a grant for the pickleball court and the location that is here on the plan.
I second it. Robert Virtue.
I will say that one thing that is also needed from the PrAC is the letter of support. So I don't know if anyone wants to be the point person for writing that and then delivering that to staff so that we could apply.
Randy, we can draft something, and if this letter of support through this motion, which they seconded for discussion, I hope, that can be part of it. But then if the chair, if we can draft something and have the chair sign it on behalf of the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee.
Perfect.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
You have a first and a second.
So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that's everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the last item for discussion is the National Fitness Campaign Proposal consideration.
So, Randy, I'll take this real quick.
Okay.
Actually, Randy was successful at Fort Myers Beach on getting this grant, and unfortunately, they were never able to implement it. Timing of their master park project, but they had went and moved forward with the acquisition of the equipment. This was just another one that we knew about that is out there. It's an alternative. And Maria, this goes back to your point. That park plan has nothing that mentions anything like this type of amenity, an outdoor fitness court. So this might be the peg that we put and move something else out. So again, this is another grant opportunity that we could apply for. We could, and if awarded, there would be money out of pocket. There's sponsorship opportunities, I know, with regards to like the wall that is put up. So local companies could help offset some of those costs. But if we moved forward with this and we're successful, we'd need a location. And then it would go to the board for their approval and funding if they agree.
Chelsea, this is Susan. I'm looking at the site plan. We've got basketball courts that are outside. That's outside fitness. And we've got trail and fitness, a little circle. That's outside fitness. You've got it.
Yeah. This is Rob Vertrees. They have something like this down at the Paradise Sports Complex down in Naples. And it's a great little area. They charge actually admission for it out there. So it's something to be, that if we get something like that, you can think about it as a way of providing ongoing funding. But again, if you're asking the committee and me specifically, should we apply for this grant? Yes.
Do you have a location that you would suggest? I think
Yeah.
Sue was alluding to 1 or 2 locations on here.
Yeah, right where the trail and fitness is now. I mean, you could just put it there if it's,
Yeah.
if it's the right size.
I think, and I think it almost has to go somewhere there where it can be gated off, because it's one of those things you don't want people getting in there overnight trying and vandalizing,
Right.
because it will be quite attractive.
I'm in agreement, either the trail and fitness or maybe the basketball courts or the volleyball courts, either whatever the space, depending on the space that it requires.
Yeah, we've got the space.
Keep in mind too, we're trying to do where that trail and fitness kind of leads into the FPL easement. We're trying to connect that linear park with this. Okay.
Have any other suggestions on a location or anything?
Okay, I'll make the motion that we recommend you apply for that grant as well.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
That one's good.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything
Okay.
else in the agenda?
No, that's it.
So back to Maria's point, you guys are getting ready to set your next agenda. And again, if there are items that you want staff to work on, or if you want to discuss at your next meeting, I know we still have the Parks and Rec rules that we need to bring back. But if you want to pull out, this park plan and do like a puzzle piece, maybe we can see if we can try to overlay the two items that you guys just approved us to apply for grant money for. And then we can go from there.
This is Maria. I would like to revisit that, and I would like to discuss it for our next meeting. I'll study the plan and see where we can start, and providing that we get those grants, start creating something.
And to the board approved the high water mark and they briefly discussed moving the dog park to the fun park. It may be worth somebody being the designee, to work with staff to brainstorm, all of the items that we would need to do to make that transition happen. I'm putting it out there just so we could have, somebody on the Parks and Rec committee coordinate with us.
I volunteer to do that. This is Maria.
Everybody good with Maria doing that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. So, if you want to, the next item is member items and reports. So I don't know if you want to go around the room and ask, each of the members if they have anything to bring up.
Anybody have anything else they want to?
Robert Lewis here. I have a technical question. We kind of glossed over the item number 4, public comment, because no one from the public physically came to the meeting. But are we supposed to respond to the email that was sent to the committee under public comment since it was a public person, or is the Board of Supervisors just going to handle the email?
Saw what the comment was, but now is the appropriate time to bring it up. And then you guys as a committee can discuss it. Or if Carol is there, she could weigh in.
Okay, so Eileen, I guess it's pronounced Kaylin, who lives where the fun park is located towards the back. Do you all recall getting a copy of the email that was sent to us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
read the
my
email.
comment with regards to that, and with all due respect to the neighbors back there, because I would have concerns if I lived back there. The reality is that regardless of what is done by the district back there, there are people that are living next to the fun park that are not going to be happy with any change whatsoever. And if we keep that in mind, we can't kind of let that mean 100% that, okay, we don't want to upset any of the neighbors. But we do have to be good neighbors to those neighbors. And this person's main concern as part of moving the dog park over, and she says it in the email, is she is concerned about noise, and she was requesting that before anything is done, that money be spent on a noise study. And she went as far as quoting the Lee government statutes regarding noise. And she did put in there 66 dBA daytime noise, but that is not an accurate number. It's actually higher, but I'm not going to debate that. But I think keeping in mind that from a sensitivity point, those folks are not going to like any visual impact changes. They're not going to want to see things there, and they're not going to want the noise. So I have a real simple solution to that, and the real simple solution is to make a part of our plan to construct a standard 14-foot high acoustic wall similar to the wall that is on Route 82 at the Gateway intersection. And by doing that, it'll totally make them visually, they won't see it and they won't hear it. So that would be one of my thoughts. Because if we decide we're going to put pickleball courts there, or we're going to put a dog park there, they're not going to want to deal with it. And I think we just have to accept that as a reality. My comment.
This is Maria. I read the email carefully and I've never been to a dog park that dogs bark so much. Dogs are busy playing and then doing what dogs do. And I've never been to a dog park that there's so much barking, or any barking, to be honest with you, as to annoy. You get the occasional dog that will bark, but I don't think that
This is Robert Vertrees. I'm not convinced that a dog park is any louder than having a playground
Exactly.
right
Correct.
there. And nothing stopping me from taking my 2 dogs up there and running them around right now on leash anyway. So while am I sympathetic? Sure. But I agree with you, Robert, that, anything we propose to do is going to have somebody come out and say, no, you can't, I don't want, the not in my backyard kind of person. And while I get that, I think this fear is
And I-
exaggerated and.
Yeah, well, Robert Lewis again. Well, one of the things I would like to emphasize back to the supervisors, because they're going to consider this letter and other letters, we did include in our plan to do a planting there as
some
a
trees or
sound
something.
and visual barrier.
Exactly.
Correct.
And so I think that the people back there need to understand that we are sensitive to their concerns, and this is how we propose to do it.
This is Maria, and again, I wanted to be included in the minutes that we did. I remember it because I was in support of that. We thoroughly discussed of putting there the dog park because we thought that it would be better for those residents there and include plantings around so they wouldn't be subjected to that. So absolutely, we considered them.
I agree.
This is Dave Ruth. I was at the pool this past week, and I've had over 5 people who live in that area come up to me, and they're totally not aware that this has been proposed. Okay, and they're angry. They were angry at me for even being on the committee. And I assured them that, we've gone through and discussed a lot of the comments, and I was hoping this Eileen would have shown up today because she said that she was going to come and say what she had to say. But somehow I think that, none of us live where we're proposing that. And, it's one of the comments made was it's like the front door of Eagle Point. That's where you drive down through there, and over here's the fun park, and you go the other direction and you're going in the main entrance of Eagle Point. And then the people who live along there, again, we're not one of them. So, I'm not sure you would want a 14-foot wall built in your backyard so somebody could do something on the other side of the wall. But, it would solve the problem. But, I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to say, except that the community is not, just because we think that they're aware of things and that they're coming to meetings. They don't come to meetings. People don't come to meetings. You guys weren't at the last 2 budget meetings. You left early, Maria. And
I have never left early.
no, you left the budget meeting, the CDD meeting.
Oh.
Okay. And basically that's when things happen. A lot of things happen at the ends of those meetings and discussions take place. And, sometimes I'm in meetings where I think sometimes we get the wrong end of the horse going this direction or that direction. And basically, there's things that are not going to happen this year. The dog park might not even be an issue. Okay. Because of things that I've heard discussed. Okay. So it may not be as big a deal as I'm making it out to be, but the bottom line is, somehow we don't speak for everybody in that community. Okay. And we need to make people aware. I think we need to make more people aware and have their input so it's a positive experience for everyone. So I don't know how we do that. Maybe the letter that you're going to write is going to help do that, or maybe the board needs to do that, or.
Yeah, Robert Lewis here to comment on David. All of our meetings are open to the public. We're very transparent. You can go online and you could look at all the agendas, everything that we were presented, the public is presented. This person said she was going to be here. She's not here. They have that opportunity to come and express their opinions. And to do it after the fact, after we've spent our time, and you have to remember, we also have the support from just about the entire community that uses the dog park. They presented, they said, we're very much in favor of it. And so to all of a sudden, past tense, raise questions, we're very transparent.
not accusing anyone of not being transparent. I'm just saying there, people, even though you say they have the ability to find this information out and that we're transparent, but people don't do that. And unfortunately, you know, they live in the area, and somehow I have a feeling that, you know, that somehow that there's going to be repercussions. And I'm always worried about, we never took a vote on whether the first priority should be the dog park or it should be the last priority. We just agreed amongst ourselves up at the front. I mean, sometimes if we're going to make a stand on this is a good idea, then we should probably make motions about those ideas.
I thought we did make a
We
list
did.
of priorities.
We
agreed
did.
on the
When we
priorities.
Yeah,
did,
we
we
did at
agreed
the
on the
meeting.
priorities. We discussed it
Well,
I mean, not
repeatedly.
everybody's gonna be able to agree on every.
No, I understand. I just don't remember having an agreement on
Well, we did.
that.
did.
That
But also,
we
too-
didn't take a motion. We didn't make motions and vote on that.
Yeah,
Did I miss that?
we did.
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Okay.
Okay, look, this is Maria. We have to be practical here. We're the ones that are taking the time to brainstorm this, and we are here. And like Robert said, everybody's welcome. The meetings are available. They can go watch them and brainstorm, and they're welcome to come and express their opinion here. If you look how many meetings we've had and how many votes we had to take to agree amongst us on certain things. It is impossible to get everybody to support that. There's going to be members that are completely unhappy with anything you present, and there's going to be people that live there that don't care or whatever. If you get 10, 15 people in the room, you're not going to get them to all agree on everything. So we're the ones that are here brainstorming, we have good intentions. We are doing the best we can based on what we're given. And from that point on, you're not going to make everybody happy. If I was there and CDD was coming and saying, well, we're either going to develop this playground and make it proper, and if we make it proper now, you're going to have 50 kids at any time playing. Do you want that, or do you want a dog park? I would take the dog park because dogs don't make that noise. And people, the dog park is not going to be open after hours to where they really annoy the neighbors. So I think it's a reasonable idea. We all shut down the idea of selling that land, remember? I was in favor of that just so we can take that money and allocate it somewhere else, but we voted that down. That would solve all our problems. So since we voted that down, well, guess what? Now they're gonna have to deal with something, whatever that is. And that's gonna be the dog park.
Could be worse. We
It could
have
be much worse,
We
like
could
I
have sold
said.
the property and they could have built an apartment building back there.
Exactly. How would they like that one? I mean, look, like I said, we gave it the due diligence. We considered, I understand what repercussions you're talking about, but I
Yeah,
better
keep-
not have any repercussions for contributing to this community. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable to me.
Carlo, we have a comment.
I just
Go
want to
ahead.
make sure, I know you guys mentioned that there was nobody here
Can you
from
come
the
up to the mic
public.
and
Okay,
introduce-
Flavia Walsh, 13258 Little Jump Circle, Magnolia Lakes. I just want to say that I do have a resident comment that I would like to make in regards to one of the items that is currently in the agenda. So not at all times that I'm being sitting here, I am a board of supervisors. If I'm sitting here, I am a resident of the community. More specifically, I wanted to talk about your financials. I have questions for you that I guess I would like for you guys to follow up with staff as a possibility. Under the janitorial services for the soccer complex, you have a leftover balance of $5,300. And my understanding is that that contract was canceled So probably you're gonna have a surplus of that money. So if you want to follow up with the staff, maybe you can reallocate that for something that you guys need.
I can comment
Yeah.
on that. This is Andrew. So as the park is shut down, we're not utilizing the vendor, obviously, in that park. The contract is still valid, month to month, but during the park closure, we're not utilizing that service.
Okay, because I thought Chelsea that she terminated because she wasn't happy with the service. And that was like just a
It has
little
not
bit
been
of.
terminated. We're
Okay.
utilizing them on a
Oh,
month-to-month
on a month-to-month,
basis.
okay, so that's one. And then I was concerned when I saw in the budget, and I'm speaking as a resident, the cost for having the dog park move to the fun park. I think if that could be done in phases and having just the fence and then having the dog park and then having everything else that you guys decide with how you want it with the bathrooms and everything else. If there's a possibility of reallocating some money that you have it in the dog park, a sod installation, you have $25,000 in there. I know a little bit of that money was used, it just does not reflect here. But you have that money as well that if you're going to move it, then I wouldn't necessarily want to spend money replacing sod if you're not going to be there. So that's something that if you guys can partner with staff and get clarification on. And then in regarding to the pool, the same thing. There are a lot of items that you guys provided on the list that weren't very cost, maybe $10,000 for sunshade and things like that I remember. You do have maintenance and repair and you have a balance of $5,300. I do not know what's planned and what money is left in there, but that's something that you can do it in this fiscal year. So that's kind of how me as a resident would like you guys to look at the financials. That's the money that's left. Are we going to use it in 2 months because the year is going to be ending? No. What can we use it? Can we reallocate it? So that's my only comment that I have. When you guys look at this for the pool and the dog park, maybe if the goal is to remove it, just use the money this year. That's all I have.
Yeah, Robert Lewis with a comment. I thought that our committee, either we decided or it was decided for us that we're not going to micromanage the budget, that's up to the Board of Supervisors. Is that how we left it?
Yes,
Marie?
that's how we left it. And I had specifically asked him, was it on our last meeting or the previous to that? About the money, it was the last one, right? About why is there so much money left? And again, I got the answer that not all that money is going to be spent is shown here on the budget, reflects the budget. So we didn't have a specific balance that was left. That's the information we're provided. And to me, it goes without saying that if we're going to relocate the park, we're not going to spend money and provide additional improvements to the current park. But we're given the direction that this is not something that we are concerned with, that this is the Board of Supervisors concern. We are brainstorming the ideas and they have to deal with the financial. If we're wrong, then.
So this is Andrew. I can comment on a couple of the questions that came up. Okay, so regarding the dog park, we had allocated like a full replacement of sod in the dog park, and those purchase orders were actually already cut. The work has not been completed. It was planned to be done during this park shutdown. I've since backed that out because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do a full replacement of sod when we may be moving out of there. But we do have some areas of concern that need to be repaired, or we're going to run into mud issues and things like that that'll cause the amenity to decline a little bit. So we want to do as little as possible in terms of repair. I don't have a dollar value on that. I believe the replacement we were looking at was just north of like 17,000. So there's $25,000 sitting there. I imagine repairs are going to be, I would say half of that. I mean, you could probably, half of that, maybe less than half of that. I haven't got that repair cost for the sod, but I think the point that resident was making was that when you see available dollars there, that you make a recommendation because of future action. Like, if, for example, that dog park, it makes a lot of sense to kind of point that out and go, hey, are we doing this already? Or, I don't think staff, as opposed to listening to, an idea, or especially something coming from a resident that goes, hey, we have these dollars sitting here, the financial report is out there for people to look at. So at the end of the day, we're just, forward thinking with that. And we would definitely let you know where we're sitting on that.
Okay, but I did that last time when I questioned the money that were left for maintenance. So I don't remember exactly, but there were money left for the pool, and I questioned why the umbrellas and that were needed, right? Do you remember that? Were not already purchased from that money, and we got the same answer, that money that are being spent are not reflected exactly in the budget. So if we don't have an up-to-date amount and we know exactly what's being spent, how can we comment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be up. This is Andrew. It's going to be up to staff to be able to give you a response there. Like in the case of the sod, or if we don't have the answer right then and there, we can follow up with an answer for sure. Okay. But like for the example, the sod of the dog park, we did have allocated dollars for replacement of the sod, just like the budget says, right? But that question prompted me to tell you exactly where we're at with it today.
So I have a question. Then in that case, since it looks like it's been approved that we are going to relocate the dog park based on our recommendation. So what is the timeline on that, and how long do you foresee the move taking?
I'll answer this one. So it has not been approved. The board set the high water mark. They have their final budget adoption in August, which would be budget for the October 1 fiscal year. And if that was approved as part of the final budget, we would put a plan in place to make that transition after the first of the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
So it's not a done deal, but they did approve the high water mark, which did include moving the dog park to the fun park.
Okay, based on your experience, what is the time frame for something like that to happen?
You're asking me or Andrew?
I would say to build out something like that, probably 90 days. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that, Chelsea?
I would extend it a little bit longer. I would, just because right now fencing contractors, it's like pulling teeth to get somebody out there. I don't think once they're here, I don't think it'll take long at all, especially if we're just going to use the existing sod that's out there. But I think like there's some things that we need to consider with like water taps, coordinating, getting a permit for the fence, because that's going to take some time, finding a fencing contractor. So I would say 6 months, depending on the lead time for fencing.
So this is Maria again, and in backtracking a little bit, but then based on that information, in regards to their sponsorships, when that decision is made, and again, we're not meeting in August, and that's why I'm mentioning this, when that decision is made, and if it's made to move forward with a relocation, I think we should be ready with a sponsorship of the benches and items within the fun park, because as we discussed in the previous meetings, that the people that do use the park send a representative, and they're behind those proposals. So I think we need to be ready to go and work on that in conjunction with relocating. So we have those items already sponsored out to be placed in a new dog park. And I think people fall behind things when they see results. And I think with producing something beautiful and nicely made would make people support other ideas as well.
We look forward to working with you, Maria.
Thank you.
So that kind of prompted the whole sponsorship discussion program for today. Because I really don't want to just jump in and say, hey, give us money and we'll do this. I'd rather put some a plan in place and different tiers, because I've seen agencies do different tiers, like if you donate $500, you're bronze, up to 2,000, you're silver, up to whatever number that is, and however structure we choose that. I mean, we can always change it at a later date, but I think we need to get something on paper, and get the ball rolling.
Anyone else have any comments on that?
Come to the event on July 1st.
I'll be there.
We'll be there.
I will be there.
So if there's not anything else, then the meeting's adjourned at 4:11.
You gotta set your
And,
next.
oh
your
yeah, the next
date.
meeting, so we're not gonna meet in July and August, so the next meeting will be September 27th at 2:30. And then,
I want to be clear. You guys are taking a 2-month hiatus, which is not, you can do that. This is your committee. But if anybody is around over the next 2 months and wants to, work with staff or has ideas, let us know. You can always reach out to us. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the background between events and maintenance and the fields being shut down, but, if you're around and you want to lend us a hand or had some ideas, shoot us an email. Let's schedule some time to get together.
okay.
All right. If anything comes up over the next 2 months, we'll be sure to keep everybody apprised via email.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you guys for your time.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Robert Lewis.
All in favor?
Hi. So is it at 3 or 2:30 that next thing? 2:30?